Good evening, and welcome to Last Month Music. Kyle from EXHORDER and almost a trillion other bands that you're in. You're a busy
Yeah, I
man.
don't know. That's too many.
I do want to say, before I lose track of talking about EXHORDER, because we're going to focus on, I love your vocals on the Alabama Thunder Pussy album. They are so awesome. I just,
Thank you.
oh, I learned that album is so good. Like the vocals on that. I mean, you're good elsewhere, but this it's such a different version of you that it's just like, man, it
Yeah,
shows
that
your range.
much more of a rock band than a metal band. I think Alabama Thunder Pussy was and is. Um, but yeah, they had quite an evolution, and I think right before I joined the band, they were really kind of coming into their own as kind of pioneers at what they do.
Yeah, I had listened to much of their stuff before, prior to actually checking out from you, and I kind of went a little backwards into it. So, and of course, you still do recording with Trouble, and you're still playing with them, another great band. Uh, but you're on tour, Exhorder. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And you have a drummer right now, a temporary replacement. How's it working out? Rehearsals or anything yet?
We'll find out this weekend. Yeah, we've not even met Corey in person. Corey just came highly recommended. We had a handful of people send in video auditions, and really, to be fair, everybody that sent in a video audition really did well, and I think we couldn't have gone wrong with any of the people that we
Yeah,
might have picked. But I don't know, we just talking with Corey on the phone and learning that he comes from the same type of drumming school that our original drummer Chris Nail
yep.
did. They're both drum corps guys, marching band, that kind of thing. And Chris's style was very, Chris will always be criminally undervalued as far as pioneering drums in this type of music because there
Hmm.
weren't a lot of guys from that school doing it back in the late 80s and early 90s, and he really I kind of set the bar. That was it used to he used to be in talks of the greatest drummer in the world at this type of drumming. And I think now today with you've got all these kids that are like freaks on the instruments that they're doing, and they've developed styles and taken shortcuts that we didn't know existed back then to make themselves even faster and more like insanely,
Yeah.
dynamic at what they do. So I really feel like Chris's contribution to the whole thing is more like a holy grail than anything at this
Hmm.
point.
Like a template of you guys. Do you think moving forward, that's kind of what you can be looking for? Because obviously, this is a temporary situation. Because I mean, you're on tour right now. When everything's done, I'm sure you're gonna want to settle in and kind of figure out the new vision. And maybe you're not there yet. You know.
Yeah, the first step is let's get in the room with Corey and iron out all of uh the things that need to be ironed out. And he's studying the albums, and he's also studying live sets that we've done so that he can see how we deliver it versus how they were presented on the album, because they're two different worlds for sure.
Yeah.
So God bless this dude. He's coming in with just a few weeks and learning more parts than he need than anybody should need to, because our songs are fairly complex, and a lot of parts, a lot of changes,
Yeah.
stops, breaks, all this stuff. And he sent a message to Jason and me the other day saying that he's playing through the set now. He's not without hiccups, but he feels more comfortable now that he can get through the set. And so I said, don't worry about it. If I have to one-on-one sit with him and go over the fine tuning, the
Yeah.
details, I'll do that during the day before Pat shows up at Jason's house for rehearsal. And
Yeah.
uh, I think we're going to be fine. I know this much. God forbid didn't get to be what they are and were ever at any point with a guy who's less than on drums and has always been their drummer. You
Yeah.
have
No,
to.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that one. I think definitely it's. At this level, your peers are all mostly everyone's more than competent to hop into other situations. It's just
Yeah,
really about how quickly both of you can get the groove to
yeah,
feel close to the type feeling you had of years of playing with somebody. That's really what it comes down to now when you guys get players come in, whether it's a new player or just a replacement for a
sure.
tour.
Well,
You
one
know,
thing I'm excited about is he's a casual fan of this band. Like he told me, he first learned of us, I want to say when he was maybe touring with Crowbar, back in the, I don't know, this was like
90s.
the early 2000s, maybe late
Okay,
90s, early
yeah,
2000s. And they were like, well, shit, if you never heard this, you ought to check this out. And he said he really, really liked it. So he's not a guy that knows our discography front to back. So that was a
hmm
disadvantage for him coming in. But I also look at it as kind of an advantage because he doesn't have a preconceived notion of
yep,
how things are supposed to be. And I think some of the drummers along the way that we've worked with that are fans of the band, uh, they might kind of still be stuck in the past part
yeah,
of the band, that the part that they grew up on. It's like, first of all, like the first two albums were nightmares to record, and that we've most of the band has never felt like they were the best representation of what we were live anyway.
right.
So, I always have to try and slow someone's roll on that. Like, get your mind out of that, the 90s version of this band that you think and
Right.
try to see a bigger picture here, because it's much more than just aping what happened on those records. It's so much more than that.
Oh, I think the potential with those two albums is the songs you see, you can hear them regardless of what the prediction is or what you guys did to get through it. You can still hear it. Kind of even like if you go back a lot of band songs back then, even like we hear like Venom. I'm like, man, I wish some of those songs were produced better so I could hear them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because they were good songs. And I think I had Advantage one time. I was like, that's how it was. I'm like, no, I get it, but I would just go for production. And me, I would have really allowed to hear the guitars more for the front. I
sure,
get the
sure.
symbolic of it, but the potential of the song, I think, is sometimes what the fans feel of those albums.
See, the digital era has really just
Spoiled us.
shifted the game. It has. I mean, I make demos here at the house on a laptop that's running on Windows 7 through a Focusrite Scarlett interface with a $250 microphone.
Yeah.
But my demos come out sounding better than both of my first two records, because you have to try really hard to get a terrible sounding recording in today's day and age with the
There
technology
is.
that we have. But it can be done. You can screw it up.
I mean, do you remember? I remember having. I remember. I thought it was a big deal when I had a Tascam 4-track. Remember those?
Yes.
The that was
Oh,
a big
with the
deal. Remember when you had
cassette.
those? Yeah, yeah, I had
Yeah.
that. That was
Yeah.
awesome at the time.
Bouncing tracks.
Oh God, yeah, you bounce like four different tracks down just to make one, and then you're like, oh, I didn't do it right, and then everything's on top of it. Yeah,
That's it.
the nightmare of that, right? But yeah, nowadays we're kind of spoiled for that. But with that being said, though, I mean, the last two albums you have done, you're much more comfortable with. And you feel like you're more in the pocket now, where you wanted to be, sonically and style wise,
Sure. Sure.
and it fits you well. But I think the good thing about the other two, like your doing albums are kind of your children. Those two kind of really show that you guys were in the front with a handful of bands with being definitely the crossover, the punk, metal, and rock. Like you kind of had a little, you guys were dipping your toes in everything, where some bands were
Yeah.
straight there. Those albums are representative of that energy of what you guys were mixing together. You weren't like from one school of thought. Whereas at this point now, you can kind of you've been out there. People know who you are. You can kind of drill into what the point is for each album now, and you get the technology.
Yeah, for sure. And a band should be an evolution. On occasion, you have bands, AC/DC, Slayer, perhaps, that don't stray too far from their formula, um, and it works because I think if AC/DC or Slayer did anything that had like uh, an R&B or reggae feel, it would not feel right. It would not feel
No,
right.
well,
But
Slayer did that one album, right? That they have a little bit of a little keyboard, a little some instrumental pieces in there, the Bloodline or something. One of their albums, a lot of people were like, "Oh, what's going on here?" because it's slightly different.
Yeah,
The fans are very
it's
intense.
good. It's good to challenge yourself
I think so.
and try new things. I mean, hell, we had a B3 organ on one of our albums, and we're from New Orleans originally. This band is. I'm the last original member from New Orleans, but we are a New Orleans band. So like that groove from all of the whole groove metal thing that for our part in the development of groove metal, we have to honor the New Orleans rock and roll and uh, and funk bands that we grew up listening to over the years. The Meters, Dr. John,
Mhm.
Alan Toussaint, the Neville Brothers. This music is what we grew up on, and when it's in the water like that, you can't
Escape
pretend
it.
it's not there. So all of our heaviest, slowest, groovy parts that are, I mean, they crush, they're heavy, but that's where it comes from. That swing, that New Orleans swing, is
Hmm.
definitely from our predecessors.
But that's what makes it so special. That's what I'm gonna say that whole area of all those bands, and I Hate God, and you guys, and Crowbar, and Down, all those guys. You guys all have a certain sound, beautifully like in the late '80s and even the '90s. So the thrash bands and metal bands and whatever, they didn't sound anything alike, but they came from a same area. This is one of the last few bastions of space where you still have a bunch of people kind of having an influence on sound has the influence on them, but
Yes,
they don't sound the same, and they just put their jeans on and pick up their guitars.
kind of like the difference between Exhorder and Soylent Green
Yeah,
per se. Soylent
yeah,
Green is a very different band from Exhorder, but you listen to them both and you'd be like,
yes, you do.
oh,
Yeah,
I bet they're both from New Orleans.
there is definitely a family tree. I mean, it might be more like a haunted house looking family tree, but it's still a family tree. you know, Maybe some Halloween decorations on it, but that's very special about that scene. We guys all sound differently, but you guys do hold that influence, and you definitely hold who you guys are true. Um,
Sure.
so with touring, I saw it on your Facebook page. So you guys actually have it. You own your own bus or touring thing.
So yeah, Jason owns that. He's our bass player.
Yeah.
He bought that thing. He used to have a van, and we pull that with a trailer and do hotels, and it was comfortable enough. But he told me one day, I'm thinking about making the jump to buy the RV, and I was like, okay, well, how much is that going to cost? And he said, well, it's going to cost twice as much. I'm like, oh, they go the fucking any profit, and he's like, but hold on, we're not going to need hotels really at
Yeah.
all, or much at or just on rare occasions. So I said, okay, well that speaks. I said, let's try it. So we did, and he paid for the wrap, put the wrap
Well, that's
on
why
the
I noticed it.
plane.
That's not something you do for a rental. So
Yeah,
I'm saying,
yeah. So technically, the band, me, rents the vehicle from him. So he operates that thing under his LLC, and I operate the band under an LLC,
yeah,
and
nice.
so we're in business together, not just as bandmates, but for this part of the deal also, and it works great for us because I'm helping him pay off the
Yeah,
principal on that thing, and we save upwards of 250 to 300 bucks a day by using, you burn more gas, but at the same time, when we need 3 hotel rooms because of the amount of people that we have versus having, just, I don't know, a couple of times a week we stop at an RV park maybe, and that's
hmm
50 to 100 bucks maybe versus 3 hotel rooms,
yeah.
which is upwards of 500 bucks. Um, other than that, if the venues don't have a worthwhile shower situation, we stop at truck stops and we do showers at the truck stop. So it's so much more efficient
Yeah.
to have a bigger, more expensive vehicle because you're
Well, you have
saving
a.
in other
So,
ways.
I'm sorry, just I missed it. Well, you have it's also like a little home. You got a spot. You kind of know it's yours. Not weird or
Yes.
gross. I'm gonna tell you because and people that aren't doing music just going to the shows. When COVID ended, the apocalypse of the Four Horsemen ended. Everybody was scrambling for vehicles. And because things were out a couple of years, I know you guys, everyone was hurting to try to find a rental. And of course, that happens, supply and demand, rentals go up. So it's such an
Yeah.
investment to own your own thing at this point
Yeah.
because you control your own tour dates because you still got to go crazy and rent from another state to drive it down to pick up the guys in another state because they didn't
It's
have a truck
insane.
ready. That's the kind of stuff that happens that you guys have to deal with it before you
Yeah.
even leave the house. You're picking
We
up
used
things
to,
like that.
we used to rent from Bandwagon, which is a great option. It really is. Um, but the RV has basically all the amenities of the Bandwagon, um, toilet and shower, refrigerator. It even has actually more. We've got like a stove top and an oven in there, which we never use because then you just got to clean up a mess, you know.
Right.
But we can actually like go to Walmart and get real food, um, you know, yogurt,
Yeah.
fresh fruit, that sort of thing. It's not going to spoil in the refrigerator. Cold cuts instead of just eating fast food and junk all the time. Microwave breakfast sandwiches come in handy when you don't want to
Yeah.
spend $5 or more a day on, you know,
Yeah. Saving more
McDonald
money and it's
breakfast.
healthier, but it's healthier.
Yeah,
I mean, as we get
yeah,
older, I mean, you can't get away with that many crappy meals on your body because then you got to perform.
exactly, exactly. And having a bunk to crawl into at any given point in the day if you're just not feeling well versus when you're stuck at a venue with a terrible green room situation and your vehicle's 3 blocks away because the parking
Yeah.
sucks. You know, this way you can at least, you know, you can maintain your health a lot easier, which
Mhm.
sleep and proper rest are the first weapons in fighting illness on tour.
Really.
That's your
Actually,
first line of
so
defense.
with that, I always like to ask because I mean, you're a fantastic guitar player. I'm glad you're playing now. And the vocals and guitar thing is insane to be able to play like that level.
Thank you.
When any of you guys could do that, I'm always so blown away because
It is.
I start playing my guitar and if I try singing along, I'll fall off my bed, man.
It's this.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can barely do this one at a time. So props to that. I mean, you're definitely delivering the goods. And what's also pretty rad is like your voice is still as strong. Like it is not wavering. There's only a few of you guys out that are keeping it up. Are you just
uh,
lucky? Are you working it? Like, what's your deal for your voice?
I was I was fortunate enough to find my way into choral singing when I was young. So I never wanted to be a singer. It found me by accident. I was a bass player and I was
Mhm.
happy to be there. And I made the mistake of opening my mouth at rehearsal one day. And then I got the microphone stuck at me whether I wanted it or not. So I learned to embrace that. And my last 2 years of high school, I signed up for chorus class, which was curriculum. It was not extracurricular. It was every day I went to class at third period and sang for 50 minutes a day. So that I did that for 2 years in high school and then 1 year at university. And just being in that environment, singing. I mean, I performed Beethoven's Ninth with the New Orleans Symphony when I was 19 years old, 2 sold-out nights at the Orpheum Theater.
That's pretty cool.
Standing behind an orchestra on risers with 60 other people was pretty amazing. And um, I can't stress enough just how the fundamentals of singing that you learn in that environment. So I give vocal lessons as an instructor, online and in person, and um, most of what I teach is the fundamentals that I learned in that world and trying to help singers find their confidence because the more confident you are as a singer, the better your ability is going to shine. I
Yeah.
really feel like that's one of the biggest obstacles. That and people using improper technique that's going to be detrimental to them singing night after night. So once I get a student have all that click and go, that's very fulfilling to me because uh, there's a lot of really really terrible singers out there making a lot of money, and I'd rather see people with good skills that don't need the bells and whistles, that can do this on their own with their own
Mhm.
minds and body, um, get better enough at what they do to get out there and shine.
That is really fun. You're the first person I've actually heard talk about doing choir classes. I did it for a year when I was younger. I lived in Maryland, and it was sight reading and just on and on. And we went to I think we get to the finals actually. It's an intense thing. People don't. I mean, I don't know if people even know about those classes. Doing the choral class is a very intense class to do. So I can see how it's really carried over. That makes a lot of sense on your voice being able to maintain it all these years without blowing it out.
Yeah, so I remember when my instructor in high school first learned that I was doing exhorder and singing that style, and he came to me and he said, you need to quit doing this right now. You are going to destroy your voice. I was like, I can do both. I'm doing it right now. And I
Yeah,
don't think he understood it because it was foreign to him, and it makes sense. Like, it sounded like something that was a bad idea. And I don't know. I think now he probably understands, because I still know this guy. He's now like the principal of the school that I went to, and he's come to see me perform, not exhorter, but like he's seen me perform in other bands and stuff, cover bands that I do, and he's always just so complimentary. And I'm like, I couldn't have done this without you, Greg. Like, for real. Like, it took me from being a guy that was basically singing, buying time until I get my next job as a bass player, to like me going, well, I guess this is my destiny here, and I might as
yeah.
well make the best of it and become the best singer that I can be.
I think I don't want to think. Well, I'm gonna be the dad of the internet. So any younger people that are in bands right now, don't think like chorus is not cool or jazz band for bass or whatever. Those are the programs that most of these guys have gone to
Yeah,
that help build these schools. If you have a class or a program in your school, go to it. Take advantage of it as much as you can. I can't,
as young as possible too. Start
yeah,
out young, because your mind is still developing. When you learn violin, piano, brass instruments, woodwind, any of that stuff at a young age, it not only helps with your musical development, but with your brain development.
yeah. I
Piano,
mean,
piano.
don't think you're too cool and you're going to sit in your room with your recording and just your guitar. Join some cover bands because cover bands is how you learn how other songs work. I mean, there's so much
Correct.
that people are cutting out nowadays to not getting to where they are. So the plan of the tour, how much tour are we doing this year? And then are we going to take a break? We're going to do an album. We're going to take a break, do a tour. Like, what are we looking at for the fans?
So we just did like 21 shows, uh, mostly in February. And then uh, we got 18 more here uh, this coming month. I'm going to do some trouble dates directly after. We're flying to Germany for a festival called Keep It True, flying back to do a festival in Chicago the following weekend. But I am busy here in the studio, this very room, recording new trouble songs right now. Um, and Exhorder is now in pre-production for a new album as well. So there's a lot going on. We don't really have anything solid, Exhorder, for the rest of the year. Our agent will be working on something for us, but we're not terribly sad if we don't do a lot of touring this year. We've been doing a lot of shows the last few years. We did like 85 shows last year. Um,
Yeah.
so
Well, on top of what you normally do with other bands too. So it's the more than time
yeah,
for you.
yeah. So, and it is nice to be out there working, generating revenue. But at the same time, uh, the album's not going to write itself, so we have to stop at some point and make it
Yeah.
happen.
How this is always interesting, like with an artist like you can be in multiple bands. The scheduling, how are you? Because you have a lot of people. I would imagine like waiting on you, like troubles waiting on for you to tour. Like sort of, you know what I'm saying? You're the main man.
Stuff,
So you have a
juggling
lot,
that calendar
and then
stuff.
scheduling it to be like you're trying to put the bands on different gigs and stuff, especially because it's almost the same genre where you guys could be on the same dates together.
I've suggested more than once that I would love to have Trouble and Exhorder go out. That wouldn't, especially with my choral background and my ability to sing for hours on end, it wouldn't be too much on my physical self to do that. It's just never happened for whatever reason, and it's not to say it never will. We have actually shared a bill before for the first time. Exhorder and Trouble shared a bill this past year at Milwaukee Metal Fest, and I mean,
I
I know
always think
that's
if you could just take a break between, like, have like one band between you at least to take a breather.
yeah,
You know what I
well,
mean?
yeah,
It would be more
well,
than
I
enough.
mean, even that necessarily, that would have probably been more important back when I was just singing because I get so physically into the performance and it wears me out. But
Right.
like now that I'm playing guitar, I'm kind of rooted more by the microphone.
Hmm.
I still move around a lot and put on an energetic show, but it's a simpler performance for me. And it one for a man who has chronic back pain, it is much nicer to just stand there and go than to have to spring around the stage
Right.
like a lunatic. I'm 56, not 16. You know, it hurts to put on that show. And I have to be in like really good physical shape. I used to do 6 weeks of training before I would do that tour, but now it's a lot different. I mean, I still like prepare for a tour,
Right.
but it's not nearly as intense because I don't have the physical demands that I did once without the guitar around my neck. So, but I would love to, maybe at some time it happens. I mean, try it for 5 shows and see, and then you're not like committed to a month-long tour, you know.
Right. I think
So
it'd be kind of cool.
it's really
You know.
it's really as I'm the sole owner of all things Exhorder, so but we do things kind of in a democratic process. We vote on things and we discuss things. It's not like a dictatorship thing. And Trouble's a bit of the same way, but it's really more of Rick and Bruce because they're the original members, and
Right.
I'm a permanent member of the band and have been for a long time. But at the end of the day, it's their band. I don't have any business dealings in that band, and that's fine by me. I got enough problems. But I love just being told, hey, are you available for these dates? Yeah. And then me saying yes. And then they book the dates and I show up and I go, I do my job, I get paid and I go and I don't have to worry about anything else. It's kind of nice.
Kind of get best of both worlds. I think you laugh because you think about your back and standing on stage. It's funny because everyone now on the audience too, everyone's thinking this is an awesome show, but man, my feet, my back are getting tired. Like the whole venues now is getting tired as we get older to see this show at the end. It's the fatigue. It's
Absolutely.
crazy how everyone goes through the same thing in their head at the same time. Like, oh, this is really good, but man, I can't wait to get home and sit down. I can't wait for that
It's a
car ride
long
home.
day. It's a long day too, because I think people say, oh, touring's got to be great. You're only working 1 hour a day. It's like 1 hour a day. You have no idea what goes into touring, man. Because, for instance, here's my day on this upcoming tour. Um, Normally, I take either my wife or my daughter out to tour with us to help with tour managing and selling, and they sell the merch. But
Cool.
neither of them are available to me right now, so I'm the one that's selling the merch. So we show up to the gig, we load out because we're the road crew.
Hmm.
Then I start setting up the merch. And then by the time I'm just about set up, it's time for me to get on stage and sound check. I take care of that. Then it's doors. So then I'm sitting at the merch table until it's time to play. Then I play, go back to the merch table. Once all that's done, I have to settle, close business. And if I'm available, I help push everything for the loadout. And then at night, when we have long drives, I'm the night driver. So my day might start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and might not end until 6 in the morning. So it's a
It's a long
long day
day.
with very little break. And I don't think people realize that when you own your own business and you can't afford to in your budget to pay people to come out and be guitar tech, drum tech, this, that, and you have to do all of these things yourself. it's not what it appears to be, this luxurious, glamorous life. It's not.
I don't think anybody at this point in your level are. I actually most bands, I mean, are very relaxing for tours. I mean, it's generally
It's a
some,
grind.
it's a grind. It's a grind for you guys, which means so when you're out in town, people check them out. The dates are going to be up. Going out on tour. I'm going to see you in a few weeks, as I said earlier before the show.
Yes,
Looking
indeed.
forward to that. And I'll see you at the merch table too. Get myself a shirt. And people, when you go out, buy the merch. If you poor guy's going to be working the table, you can't even get
That's
anybody to
it.
help him right now. So keep him busy. If he's got to be at the
Yeah, for
table,
sure.
give him some dollar bucks.
I enjoy it though. I do. I enjoy it. This is where I enjoy meeting people. And when I'm home, I
Right.
don't go out much. I'm kind of a hermit at home. But when I'm on tour, it's like I'm out in the middle of everything. And, uh, uh, I welcome people coming up and talking. I know some people are reluctant to go introduce himself to a band member because, well, first of all, you don't want a bad experience because I've had that before uh, with me meeting somebody I looked up to, and it's a terrible feeling. So I would never do it to anybody. Um, but you get a lot more mileage when you want to talk about life in general instead of like, what were you thinking when you wrote this song in 1987? Like, I don't know. It's probably loaded.
Right. Well, I mean, that's kind of what it really comes down to is I think people don't realize that you guys are just regular, hardworking people, just as you're traveling musicians on top of it.
It's
And
like
I
a
think
traveling snake oil show.
a remedy man trying to sell your ointments, your topical ointments around around the United States.
Like a band of
uh,
gypsies.
Pretty much. But to that point, I think people do get that weird division in talking to musicians. They don't really realize how down to earth. The same cut of cloth. Give respect to the gig, getting prepared and stuff. They got to sing. They got to rest their voice and don't take it personal. But if they got
Yeah,
time for you, they're very down to earth.
that's
Just
that's
gotta.
that's fair, man. Like, I know like Pat O'Brien is a large human. He makes me look small, and I'm not a small human. So he has a kind of intimidating air about him just because first
Yeah,
of all, he's Pat O'Brien and he's just this colossal human being, but he is one of the nicest, kindest people that you'll ever meet, unless you give him a reason not to be. But
yeah,
I he comes out and he spends a lot of time in the crowd, and he didn't do that at first. I think, after 20 years of being on a big stage with Cannibal Corpse and, just having a lifestyle where all he's got to do is walk up and someone puts his guitar on him and play the show and then he's done.
yeah.
Now he's back to the DIY world, but he has come to love it so much. He likes going out and talking to the people. Uh, he's not afraid to get his hands dirty. If there's anyone that ever played in this band that is worthy of diva status, it's him, and he has never once acted like a diva the entire time I've known him. I think that's
That's cool to
worth
hear. It's cool to
mentioning.
hear. No, I think it's really important to hear. I think so people be aware of that. So be respectful, but they are there. And
Yeah,
sometimes, and I will say, I really want to say for some bands, I know some bands, if they're just not into it, it's nothing offensive to you. I mean, I know like Mr. Big, Eric Martin will talk to the end of the thing. They got to drag him onto the bus. Paul Gilbert, once he's done, he goes right backstage and he talks to his wife and his kid. Pretty cool too. No wrong
yeah,
answer there. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So it's not about, it's just like if they're available, take advantage of it and enjoy the time with them. If not, it's got nothing to do with you. It's how they get their mind straight. And that's all it is.
We got like Jason, one of our guys, Jason, the bass player. He doesn't come into the venue a whole lot at all during the show, but it's mostly because he's got such bad tinnitus that he just
Yep.
saves any of the loud noise time for the show. But he will meet with people after the show. So he just like leading up to the show, he's kind of nowhere to be found. People ask me, "Is Jason gonna be around? I need him to sign this." I'm like, he will, and he'll sign it for you. So
It's a real thing. Kyle, I want to thank you for being on and hopefully we'll talk again. We got one of your many albums coming out.
awesome,
But
yeah, man,
I'll be looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks in Hampton. And I'll
awesome,
come by and
Sean.
say hi. So
Appreciate it. Thanks
people,
for having me.
check them out on tour and check out their music.